Right, 2014 Toyota Yaris petrol. Reports of difficulty starting the engine as you crank it. It sounds like there's a lack of power in the battery, so whether it's the alternator or the battery, we'll try and find out. So here's the battery, and the alternator is conveniently placed here, just at the top. My finger's pointing. So what we need to do is you need your multimeter set on direct voltage, and I'm going to put a probe in there. It doesn't matter which way round, but I'm going to put the red one, black one, the black one. If you had one of them battery power boost packs, follow the instructions in the back. Usually it'll say connect the positive to positive, to red, and then black to black usually, but read the back. Okay, so let me put it somewhere where we can see the numbers. Nope. Here, yep. So I need both hands for this. I'm just going to tuck this underneath. Probably earlier and it wouldn't. So what I'm hoping for is to see something like 12.7 volts, 9.95, so it's 10 volts. So there is a lack of charge definitely on that battery. Next thing, I'm just going to peer into the car and make sure there's nothing going to rotate as I start the car. I'm just going to lift it out of the way in case this falls, and usually it's the other side that gives me a problem. So next thing I'm going to do is crank up the engine and then see if it reaches, say, 14 volts. If it's like 14 volts, that means the alternator's okay and the battery's full. Simple as that. I've never started this car up, so make sure it's in neutral, of course. I've got a very small engine, maybe a 1.6. So what we're looking now is for me to confirm that it's more than 10 volts. So usually an alternator will charge up to 14. So the alternator is good, it's the battery that's at fault. So that's as simple as it is for this test to know whether it's the alternator or the battery. So we have a battery fault. Whether it's lost its gases in there, lost the acid due to evaporation of the gases, we don't know. But it's not holding charge, right? So it's the battery. So the alternator is fine. The alternator is producing the voltage to charge the battery. The battery is not holding charge. So simple as that. Just going to run it a little bit for the fella and run it for 10 minutes or so. So this battery at least is a bit charged up. And I'll let him know he needs a new battery. So, thanks for watching. If you get problems like this at winter, just, I mean, this was probably at £20. You can get a really good one for £20. And that's the only test you need to know. So at least when you go to someone who fixes it, changes the battery, you can tell them, they might say to you, oh, it's the alternator, but you know, just from a simple test like this, it's not the alternator, because lo and behold, the battery's good, unless, of course, just came to mind, unless you've got some sort of a leak, a power leak. So when you switch everything off, there should be no current flowing, and that should be, I think it's worth doing that next test on this car, so bear with me. So when I've switched everything off, there should be hardly any current flowing, but if it is current flowing, something's wrong, right? Okay, so I've got a clamp. Some of these come with amp meter clamps. I'm going to clamp it on one of them terminals there to see if there's any discharge when the car's off. But I'm going to run it a little bit first. Just want to show you something. Now the engine's off. Remember, I've recharged the battery up a bit, and it got up to about 12.5. I switched the engine off, it was 12.5. Now remember, I was looking for the battery drain. Maybe there's a component that's stuck open and it's just draining the battery. But look, in the space of 2 minutes it's dropped from 12.5 rapidly down to 10, and it's just dropping. So now it's at 10.2, barely enough to start the car. So the battery losses slowed down, voltage has slowed down. However, it plummeted when the first minute of switching it off from 12.5, and I was watching it plummet. So if it was a component, say for example, that is on that I don't know about, say for example, I don't know, it was like some sort of heater that was on, rear windscreen heater, the voltage wouldn't drop that quickly. It would drop over time. You would test to see if there's any amps drop by using the ammeter clamp from buying one of these onto the back. It's a bit difficult on this car, but I can see it. I can do it. It's possible. The thing is, because it drops so rapidly, I have very little doubt. Yeah, it's actually back there. I'll have to do it on the other one, on the negative one. I have little doubt that it's the battery at fault in this case. If it was a slow drop and it was a gradual slow drop and it kept dropping, then you would probably surmise that it was there's a component, and what you'll have to do at fault, and you'll have to do is you'll have to keep your clamp on, keep your ammeter clamp on, pull fuses out, whether in the engine bay, probably start with the compartment inside the driver's compartment, pull fuses out. Whenever you pull a fuse, obviously locate where it belongs to, what it controls, pull the fuse out, and if the voltage loss of the extra amps that you're suddenly getting stops, that means it's that component that's at fault. There's a short in the component. In this case, because it drops so rapidly, I just think the battery's just died. It's just not as good as it was, and it's just died. So I would say battery at fault in this case.